Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. So as always, do me a favor before we dive into these topics. If you end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. And if you are new here to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We're starting here with the announcement of a new limited edition Dualsense controller, as well as new plates that you can buy for your PS5. It says here, basketball player and multiverses fighter Lebron James is getting his own line of PlayStation accessories. These accessories include a controller and faceplate, and were both co-designed by James himself. Sony posted about these new accessories on the PlayStation blog. There is a PlayStation 5 console cover and a Dualsense that both have graffiti on them with the "Nothing is given, everything is earned" slogan, along with certain other words and symbols that are either related directly to James or PlayStation. The console cover will only be available in the United States through PlayStation's website for $65. Pre-orders will go up on June 29th and it will launch on July 27th. This is a $10 markup of the normal faceplates that don't have any extra designs on them. The otherwise standard Dualsense will be a little bit more widespread and is being sold in the United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Austria, Spain, Portugal, and Italy. It will be $80 US, which is a $15 markup from the normal Dualsense. Pre-orders are also happening on June 29th and the controller's releasing on July 27th. So yeah, I'm not sure how many of you guys are going to be interested in this. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Moving on to the next topic, we have a little bit of an update on the Alan Wake 2 digital-only situation. Reading from Push Square, they say Alan Wake 2 is just one of many high-profile games heading our way later this year, but unlike most of the competition, it won't be hitting store shelves. As was confirmed a little while ago, Remedy Entertainment's latest will only be available digitally, foregoing a physical edition entirely. While an FAQ on the game's website gives us one reason for this approach, turns out there's more to it than that. Speaking with Eurogamer, game director Kyle Rowley explains more rationale behind the decision. As creatives, obviously, by going digital only, it does allow us more time to polish the game, he says. Like a significant amount of weeks, actually. Because otherwise, the game that goes on the disc, obviously it has to be playable without a patch. So part of why Alan Wake 2 won't be available on disc is because it affords the studio much more time for squashing bugs and preparing the game for launch. If it came to physical retail, Remedy would have less time to ensure the version that shipped on discs is of a certain standard, whereas launching digital only means there's more time to iron things out. We didn't want to release something that we weren't proud of, basically, and that we didn't want players to play, adds Rowley, so hopefully this way we can give you a better version of the game. So, yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not really buying this as a good reason for not doing a physical version. I do understand the aspect where they want to get the game out as soon as possible, and I understand that them not doing a physical launch at the launch of the game allows them to get it out there much quicker, but I just don't see why they couldn't maybe just do a physical launch later on. I do think it is very bizarre, frankly, that Remedy is taking just a hardline stance saying there is not going to be a physical version. I know for a lot of people who buy their games digitally, this doesn't matter, but I've always said that at the very least, there should be the option there, right? And to me, it's just not a great sign to see a AAA developer coming out and just saying, no, we're not doing it. I don't think that's a good idea. I am still holding out hope that at some point, because I've seen quite a bit of pushback against this, I'm hoping at some point Remedy gets the message and says, okay, you know what, maybe we're just not going to do a physical release at launch, but maybe we'll do it a couple months after launch. I don't see why there would be anything wrong with that, but there you go, that's their update. Moving on from that, we have an update from Motion Twin over on Twitter, and they say the PS5 version of Dead Cells is coming to digital stores on June 29th. It uses haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, audio feedback, and lighting to take your runs to the next level. Owners of the PS4 version will be able to upgrade for free. So yeah, wanted to just let you guys know that there is going to be a free PS5 upgrade for Dead Cells, which I know a lot of people really enjoy that game, and it seems like it's taking advantage of quite a few different PS5 specific features. I just wanted to make everybody aware that, you know, if you are somebody who owns a PS4 version of Dead Cells, but you're playing on PS5, you can look forward to that again on June 29th. Moving on to the next topic, though, we have our first sales data for Final Fantasy XVI. This is coming from GamesIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring. He says Final Fantasy XVI is #1 this week in the UK, but as boxed launches go, it wasn't a particularly strong one. Physical sales are 74% lower than the launch week of Final Fantasy XV in 2016. Obviously, digital is a much bigger component of sales today. That data comes later. And then he follows this up by saying Final Fantasy XVI's UK physical launch was bigger than Diablo 4's and Dead Island 2's, so I really wouldn't conclude anything from the boxed figures. It sits behind Resident Evil 4, Star Wars, Hogwarts, and Zelda in terms of week 1 boxed sales. And so, yeah, it's interesting to get this follow-up tweet from Christopher Dring, because originally a lot of people were walking away from his first tweet thinking, man, 74% lower than Final Fantasy XV. Again, that was in 2016, and he does point out something incredibly obvious here in the fact that more people than ever before are buying digitally. There's also a couple of other things to factor in here. It is a PS5 exclusive. Final Fantasy XV was a full-blown multi-platform title. And when you also look at where it sits, how it's ahead of Diablo 4 and Dead Island 2, but it is behind RE4, Star Wars, Hogwarts, and Zelda. I mean, you know, Star Wars, Hogwarts, Zelda, I don't think Final Fantasy was ever going to be ahead of those, especially since it's a PS5 exclusive. And then, you know, Resident Evil 4 is also a multi-platform title. So all things considered, I can't say that this is surprising. I don't know, like, where this lines up with Square and their expectations or Sony's expectations, but I think we'll have a much better idea of how Final Fantasy XVI is performing sales-wise once we actually get some digital data. And if the digital data comes back and it's not looking too good, then yeah, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe there will be some reason to be concerned. But generally speaking, it seems like it's one of these situations where it's difficult to determine whether or not the game is actually selling well or not. So we'll find out hopefully sooner rather than later. Moving on from that, though, we have a little bit of news regarding Spider-Man 2. It says here from PlayStation Lifestyle, ahead of the game's release on October 20th, 2023, the official Marvel Spider-Man 2 theme is out for all to listen to. The Marvel Spider-Man 2 theme is titled Greater Together, and it officially debuted over the weekend at the Game Awards 10-year concert in Los Angeles, a one-night event that featured live music from some of the biggest video games of the last decade, alongside some classics from titles like God of War, The Last of Us, and more. The very first performance of the Spider-Man 2 theme was played, with the song later uploaded to Spotify. So, yeah, it's not really a huge piece of news for Spider-Man 2, but something that I do think is worth sharing if you're somebody who has been kind of, you know, waiting to hear this new theme for the game. It's out now, you can listen to it, and I think it's actually pretty cool the way that they, you know, unveiled this during the Game Awards 10-year concert in Los Angeles. It's actually pretty neat. So there's your Spider-Man 2 update. And then moving on to the final topic of the video, I have an article here from PlayStation Lifestyle. They say confusion surrounds Final Fantasy XVI PS5 exclusivity, as both Microsoft and Square Enix have provided conflicting statements on the matter. Microsoft has seemingly regurgitated a common theory in court that Sony paid Square Enix to ensure that Final Fantasy XVI skips Xbox. However, a previous statement by Square Enix contradicts this. It's no secret that Sony does strike third-party exclusivity deals, which, by their very nature, involve skipping a rival platform either for specific content or for the entire game altogether. However, when it comes to Final Fantasy XVI, Square Enix revealed that it approached multiple publishers with the game and opted to go with Sony because it made, quote, the best offer, end quote. Square Enix understandably didn't reveal what Sony's offer was, but did say that as part of the deal, Sony would handle Final Fantasy XVI's marketing, as well as provide development support to the company, thereby reducing costs incurred to Square Enix. Square Enix also said that developing games on a single platform allows the development team to remain focused, which is exactly what Bethesda's Pete Hines said in court when he was quizzed about Starfield's Xbox exclusivity. So, yeah, this is something that's kind of interesting that came out of this battle between Microsoft and the FTC. It's the fact that you can see how Microsoft is trying to frame some of these things by, coming out and saying that Sony paid Square to have Final Fantasy XVI skip Xbox. And I mean, they're not lying. That is literally what happened. Sony obviously exchanged money with Square Enix. Square accepted it, and in return, they made Final Fantasy XVI a PS5 exclusive. But you can kind of see how some of this stuff, it comes off as pretty disingenuous, and you can tell that these are certainly lawyers trying to make certain arguments here, because Square did in fact say that they shopped around to multiple publishers, and I have no doubt that at one point in time Microsoft was one of these publishers, and they just basically decided that Sony was the one who gave them or offered them the best deal. And it's also kind of funny that Microsoft is kind of making these types of arguments, or at least their lawyers are, by really trying to, again, paint Sony as just really malicious here for striking an exclusivity deal with a game like Final Fantasy XVI, and then just, basically going on to say pretty much use the exact same reasoning for why they are now making games exclusive. You know what I mean? It's just kind of funny how that works out, but ultimately, this is just something that's coming out of a courtroom battle right now, and so we kind of know how that stuff goes, but I figured I would just report this to you guys, and you can make of it what you will. But anyway, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.